Yo, Internet! Welcome back. It's been a little bit. Been doing a lot of things in the back burner. Haven't been too busy on the service side or getting things in the shop and doing some cool swaps or anything to report, mainly because as I'm shooting this video, trying to sell the Expedition to fund the next one, which you'll have to stick around and see what we do next as far as swapping a Coyote, doing it in our OEM Plus style. If you wonder what's back there, that's a little paint project I was doing. If you watch my personal stories on Instagram, I was painting this FD here, which is ours, and it's actually from Japan. It will be for sale as well, so hit me up if you're interested in the market. It's only got like 60,000 miles, and it's got some goodies, put those wheels on. So anyway, talk about some Ford stuff, wiring, and why I'm shooting this video so randomly, and back at the home shop, because it's gonna be very wordy. And it's something that I've only plugged a few times on some 6R80 technical and swap information Facebook groups. And that is, it's dawned on me, just like with the F-150 6R80 only swap harness that I now offer and a few of you have purchased and have made, is that our Coyote swap harness for the 3 valves, the 05 to 10 cars, will also work as is, as we make it into a Coyote swap harness. It will also work if you just want to do a 6R80 swap. Thinking to yourself, Matt, it's a Coyote swap harness. How will it work if I'm just doing a 6R80 swap? Well, I will feed you, baby birds. So here's our standard Coyote swap harness. That's for an 05 to 9, specifically an 08 or 07 to 9 is that are in the group. But more importantly is what you need after that. Like, this will be the same exact harness, but I will list it as a different harness on the site so people don't get confused with wordy descriptions, because let's face it, some people need a little spoon in their feeding. So you get the harness from us, and the only difference is you're going to use an Expedition or a Navigator 2012 to 2014 ECU instead of using a Coyote ECU. And you're going to use, from that same vehicle, a 2011 to 2014 Expedition Navigator engine harness, because it's made for a 3 valve. So you're basically converting your 3 valve into a Copperhead and 6R80 system. Copperhead is what I like to refer to as the first gen wideband Ford ECUs, like the 11 to 14 Coyote ECUs, 11 to 14 GT500, Cyclone 3.76s, and 11 to 14 Expeditions. Now I think the 09 to 10 F-150s and Expedition ECUs kind of fall into that, because I believe those are wideband, but they don't control the, I guess, modern 6R80, because the 29 to 2010 6R80 isn't, it uses its own TCM. Let's get back to the meat and potatoes here. And I'll make a list at the end of this video so you guys can, kind of go over it, summarize everything that you need. And one example of someone who's already done this essentially is my guy, Thomas Sanchez out of Texas. You might know his car, takes it to Texas 2K a lot. It's a red 3 valve. It's still 3 valve. Throwing big boost at it. He bought our swap harness. One of the first guys actually to buy the Coyote swap harness, and he worked with Lund Racing to run it on the Coyote ECU. I bet he's kicking me and I'm kicking myself for not knowing yet at that point, because this was like a couple of years ago he bought the harness, that we could have just used an Expedition ECU and ran the 3 valve on that. Where it gets tricky is the tuning process. So the 5.4 3 valve, obviously it's 3 valve. The 4.6 3 valve in your current car, and your current 3 valve car is a 4.6, also a 3 valve, 3 valve, 3 valve, 3 valve. It's just that the tune is going to be probably the hardest part for someone to acquire, I guess. You got to find a good company that will do it, such as Lund Racing. I'm not sure how keen they are on doing custom stuff like that anymore. Tom had his 3 valve car tuned by them a while ago, but he's always doing revisions, so he's probably kind of grandfathered in. So as I'm saying this out loud and before I was making this video, I'm gonna contact Lito. We get along well. You guys met him. He's one of the best 3 valve tuners that I use, and see if he can work with that Expedition strategy to kind of put a 4.6 tune in it, because we don't want to change the strategy to like a Coyote or anything and then make it run a 3-valve when you already have like that base thing on there. And I feel like if the base Expedition or Navigator 5.4 3-valve would probably run a stock 3-valve just to get the car moving in and out of the driveway or whatever. But you want to get it fine-tuned because obviously there's more cubic inches and different cams and whatnot. All right, let's go through the list here. Like my 3, I don't. 05 2010 3-valve 6R80. So this is just applying to the Mustangs. Let's see what you need. Here is a 2012 to 14 Expedition or Navigator ECU. Why 2012? Well, for whatever reason, the 2011 Expedition Navigator ECUs, the body connector and hardware are pinned like the 09 to 10 ECUs, where there's like 4 different pins that are different than the Coyote ECU, and our swap harness is catered to a Coyote ECU. And if you guys absolutely only can get a 2011 ECU, or do you have it, just let me know. I can make the pin difference. All our harnesses are made to order. So that's number 1 on the list that you'll need. That's the big one that makes this kind of all work, OEM like. Next, you'll need, of course, our Make It Modular, I'll call it the 3-valve 6R80 swap harness. Now, despite it being exactly like the Coyote swap harness, I'll have it on the site listed differently, so there's no confusion. Third on the list is a 11 to 14 Expedition or Navigator engine harness. Run out of room. Engine harness. So that will just plug in. It uses the same inline connector as the Coyote, so that's why it's also same for. That's why our Coyote swap harness is the same, because the inline connector gets the same. Gets the power from the same pins, the oil pressure from the same pins, and all that, and that'll just plug into the ECU just like a factory, and then our harness will interface to get it the power where it needs to go. Fourth on the list, you'll need an 11 to 14 Mustang GT Auto transmission harness. So that's pretty standard stuff there. The 6R80, as far as the pinouts go for that ECU, and the 11 to 14 6R80 is the same, so that trans harness connector will be the same. Just like in our Expedition project, I just reused the transmission harness, never even took it out of the vehicle or the chassis, and now that ECU controls the Coyote and the 6R80 the same, so it'll do the same thing here, but that'll be just one you'll need. So that does come with, it includes like the battery cables, just like when we do a Coyote swap, and all the AC connections, alternator, starter, all that good stuff gets replaced with that transmission harness. Unlike F-150 projects where an 11 to 14 F-150 transmission harness is literally just the transmission harness with O2 sensors. So that's kind of just wiring and ECU stuff that you'll need. Very simple. The caveat to that is you'll probably have to adjust or alternate, or not alternate, but modify where, because your alternator is going to be in a different spot than the Coyote. Starter AC in the same spot. Alternator is a little higher on their 4.6. It's, in the middle in the valley. So you'll probably have to extend that connector and the feed cable, or just make your own. Going on the list here is more of like some sensors and stuff. So you'll need 11 to 14 high AC pressure switch, because now the ECU is looking for this style switch, 3-pin switch, transducer, because this is all kind of like going back to doing Coyote things. It's the same ECU as a Coyote hardware wise, so you need that AC switch, and that just, like you've seen in many of my videos, You don't even have to discharge the system, just unscrew that video or unscrew that switch. I'll put a little, I remember what videos it is, I'll put a little thumbnail in here, but it'll unscrew. There's a Schrader valve in the line, swap it out with this one. I'll put a part number here once I look it up, and then you'll see it on the next clip. All right, there's the part number for the high AC switch that you'll need to replace your 4-pin with this 3-pin. HG1019D594-Apple. Next on the list you're gonna need is a mass airflow meter sensor. You're gonna have to replace the one in your 3-valve with a modern type. It's usually an 11 to 14 type. A lot of vehicles use the same one. It could have even been a 17, but just look it up. The sensors are cross-reference. So that's what you'll need to, when you get rid of the 4.6 engine harness, that connector is in there, and then the Coyote swap / 6R80 swap harness will include the plug to plug in, or the connector to plug in your newer mass airflow sensor. All right, you heard me talk about O2 sensors. So you're gonna need to update your O2 sensors to 11 to 14 style. Just Mustang ones will work just fine, and it'll bolt up to the transmission harness or connect. Trying to think of this as eloquently or simple as I can describe it as, like you're upgrading your transmission to the 6R80, way better than the 5R, or if you just want to go from manual to 6R, great. So not only are you doing that, but you're going to be able to upgrade to a different, a more powerful ECU and have a better tunable ECU. You can really fine tune it. It's already wideband, and you just have to do some simple things. And I have some other answers to some questions you might have or may not thought of, because a lot of people have these questions when doing Coyote swaps that also will apply to the 6R80 only swap. So when you do it, yes, your original OBD2 port will work. Just like when you do the Coyotes, our harness interfaces with the original OBD2 wires and all that good stuff, so that'll all work like factory, and that's where you're gonna load your tune, is the stock OBD2 port. You need to, if you are in an emissions state, you're gonna have to program the VIN so that OBD2 matches and all that good stuff. As far as what else is there? There's your handheld tuner. If you currently have a tune on your 3-valve, and this applies to the Coyote swaps too, but if we're just doing the 6R80 swap, if you have a handheld device on your, and it's tuned with that device on your 3-valve, unmarry it, return it to stock, so then you can use it on the 6R80 computer, whether on the Expedition or Navigator computer. Luckily, let's say you forget to unmarry it, return it to stock. All you got to do, let's say you get our harness all installed, and you're at that part of the swap where you need to load the base tune or whatever it may be. You can just unplug a harness, plug the 3-valve computer back in where it used to plug in, and you should be able to return to stock that way. Because the tuner is locked to that particular ECU and strategy and VIN. So just one thing to look out for. So just to recap, everything you're gonna need is your 12 to 14 Expedition or Navigator ECU. We already explained why it's a 12 to 14. Our swap harness, 11 to 14 engine harness from a Navigator or Expedition, an 11 to 14 automatic GT transmission harness, which includes the battery cables, AC, alternator, and starter. And we talked about the alternator. You're gonna have to extend those wires or just unloom them so that they'll reach, but I think that might work. And then, our 11 to 14 high AC switch. There's the part number, your MAF sensor for an 11 to 14, and your O2 sensors. So yeah, you're depending on the tune, all your gauges, cruise, and AC will work. Any year Expedition will work. Unlike when we do the Coyote swaps, your cruise control buttons only work with 11 to 12 strategy with a Coyote ECU, but 11 to 12 or 12 to 14 Expedition all use the same. They're all looking for that same resistance value. And I know that because I have a 2014 Expedition, as you may or may not know if you haven't been following the channel, and the 2011 file allows the cruise to work, so don't have to worry about that. The little caveat that I ran into when people were using the 6R80 and the Coyote swaps is that it'll probably have the same issue here, is that the cruise control deactivation switch, you probably have to add a ground. Now this is if you want cruise control to work. It has to do with nothing else, but on 11 to 14 cars, and probably 11 and newer, the brake switch also has a ground switch, and the cruise deac switch on the Coyote and Expedition ECUs are looking for that ground signal until that brake pedal is pushed, if that makes sense. So in manual cars, we hook that up to the clutch, and it sees that because most of the time when you're hitting the brakes, you're also pushing the clutch, so it sees that. But with auto cars, the cruise will work the first 3 ignition cycles, and then it'll have an A-B correlation code because it's not seeing that ground interrupted, so I have to wire that switch, and it can help. I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Like I said, it's very wordy. I'm gonna throw in, as many random B-roll clips as I can that are relatable. So yeah, that's the kind of thing I've been stewing on. It's dawned on me, and I've been commenting on a few Facebook group pages here and there that are 6R80 specific, that you can use our Coyote swap harness, but I'm just going to make it a separate product because it is essentially the same exact harness that you can use if you're looking to 6R80 only swap your 2005 to 2010 Mustangs. So just wanted to add that to our fleet and our OEM Plus. It's not Coyote, but it all kind of circled back into discovering how easy the Expedition swap was going to be. Seeing that ECU controls a 3-valve and a 6R80, and that's I think it's a very elegant solution to control 6R80 in a factory way. OEM Plus, that's what I like to strive for. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing for all of the Ford OEM Plus, Coyote, 6R80 updates, Godzilla soon, hopefully in the future. But thanks for watching.